You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Welcome to Kevin's Other Show. Today, going to be talking a lot of football, of course. Thank you, God, for that. Going to be talking a little bit about the Miami Heat. Did you see who's been chilling in Miami at American Airlines Arena? Working out some basketball?
I say nothing.
Hooping it up a little bit?
I say nothing.
What does that possibly mean? Is something going on here? Does Pat Riley still got a little ace up his sleeve?
Never know with the Godfather, man.
I don't know, man. That's crazy stuff. People in the Pizzle, Port St. Lucie, fighting over Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, jeez.
I'll let you know what's causing all that feud. And got some of your comments that you sent to us. You know, if you got anything you want to say here about the show on Serena Williams or anything else, we'll be hearing from that. You can always leave us a voicemail. We'll get on the show. It's a 561 number, 616-4622. Starting off today with a little Canes talk. Got Joe Zagacki, the voice of the Miami Hurricanes, on with us right now to talk about that crushing win over the mighty Savannah State
Tigers? Yeah, see, they beat the Tigers this week, right, Joe? They beat the Tigers.
They did. They beat the Tigers. The Tigers back-to-back weeks. Unfortunately, They went 1-1 against the Tigers.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's a couple
They're completely opposites. One was a tiger and one was like a kitty cat.
That's a good point. They did what they needed to do. I think that was the main thing against Savannah State. They did what they had to do.
I think there's a couple of headlines here to talk about with this game. I mean, what are you going to get out of Savannah State? You know, there are a lot of good things to look at what happened with the game, but there's obviously, I think, even some concerns that came out of this. The first thing that stands out to me is something we've been talking about every single time we've had you on, Joe, and it's the quarterback situation. It's how Malik Rozier handled himself early with the offense, what they did early on, and then the crowd reaction to this. Mm-hmm. And I know he's a redshirt senior, so he's been around this. I know Mark Richt is working with him about, look, I mean, you know, if you're unimportant, you don't get booed. You know, understand this just comes with the territory, but is there any kind of concern here with what is going on? Does this trickle down into the locker room? Do the Canes have a problem with their quarterback situation?
I think it's too early to tell. I think we have to wait and see how it plays out every week. Rozier knows he's got competition with N'Kosi Perry and the other guys behind him. The best thing was that all four quarterbacks played. I just keep going back to one simple thing, and for those that booed.
Right.
Mark Richt watches them every day. He's not loyal to one guy over the other. In fact, if he's going to show loyalty, it would have been more to N'Kosi. He's the guy that he recruited, N'Kosi Perry. Mm-hmm. And he continues to go with Rozier. The other thing is this. N'Kosi Perry, I mentioned to you last week, was the only guy not in Dallas. And again, I come back to N'Kosi, that he has been practicing with Malik now for, almost 2 years. He, like the rest of the world, has seen Malik's weaknesses, the fact that he has trouble with his accuracy, that he is wild high with his passes. Everybody has seen that, including N'Kosi Perry, the guy competing against him. And the guy competing against him, who sees it every day, can't pass him by. So,
okay, can't or won't, and I understand you might say Mark Richt is going to put the best guy in there, but some of these coaches, they hang on to seniority sometimes when they shouldn't. And you're seeing this right now in Clemson, where he's saying, look, the best player is going to play, but that a lot of times doesn't happen. I know specifically with the Ohio State Buckeyes, there's no way you can say last year that J.T. Barrett was a better quarterback after what you see they've got going on right now with Dwayne Haskins. And are Canes fans right to say we've got a J.T. Barrett situation where, because simply he is a redshirt senior, he's getting the benefit of the doubt. I think, and wouldn't you agree that the offenses moved better with the other quarterbacks than they did with Malik?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Malik, N'Kosi, he did throw one to the other team, right?
Yeah. Okay.
He threw it right to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Cade Weldon came in and threw one right to the other team also. That should have been a pick six if the guy holds on to it. And I just know that when people jump on the backup, they somehow become blind to his weaknesses. And Nkosi threw one right to the other guy right after Miami got a turnover. There was very little reaction to Nkosi's mistake. Had that been Malik, there would have been an avalanche of boos.
No, you're right.
Rozier is 12-4 as a starter. What I know about him is he's 12-4 as a starter.
But when has he gotten those 4 losses? Isn't that important to the discussion?
Yeah, sure it is. Sure, the last three of the last 4 games or 4 of the last 5 did not play well. But if I was a substitute and say I'm going to put Nkosi in there against Clemson or LSU or against Wisconsin, would the results have been different? And the answer is no.
But that was then. This is now. He's had a little bit more time. Things are different.
Again, I just go back to this. If it's that different, why wasn't he in Dallas? If it's that important, it needs to be as important to him as it is to those fans that booed. And apparently it wasn't, because he wasn't in Dallas. He didn't make the trip, so we'll never know. He wasn't there. It wasn't important for him enough to make one of the scrimmages. They had 3 scrimmages.
Was there a reason for that? Is there a good reason that we don't know about?
Well, that reason would be he did not respond, did not act, violated the team rules. Whatever the team rules are, he didn't obey them. So, again, if you're not going to obey the team rules, it must not be important to you. And so just to say, hey, let's put him out there because just because, I don't see that as rational thinking. Now, maybe this week against Toledo, it goes a different way. Maybe he's one of those guys that he gets into the game. Maybe he's not a great practice guy. Maybe he's one of those guys that gets into the game, all of a sudden he just turns it on and becomes the most dynamic player. I don't know.
Doesn't work that way, though, dude. Yeah, you got to practice to play.
Good news is, not paying me $4 million to make that decision.
That's fair.
Joe Zagacki on here, voice of the Canes. Something else to maybe look at. The Hurricanes struggled a little bit run the ball early, even against Savannah State. 19 yards on 8 carries in the first quarter, and by half it was just 43 yards on 18 carries. Is there concern here because that average was 2.4 yards per carry against LSU? It went up to 4.5, but it's Savannah State. How concerned are you with the Miami Hurricane run game right now?
Yeah, I don't like the way they're running the ball. I don't like the way Homer's running the ball. In the LSU game, obviously Malik carried the ball too many times, but when Homer carried it, to me it looked like he was curling up and turning his back to the defenders, and that sort of continued last week, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if he got dinged in the shoulder somewhere along the line, but to me it looked like Homer was trying to absorb blows rather than deliver blows, and that hasn't really been his game. And the guy that's taking advantage of that, talking about getting a chance, is Lingard. Now, they're going to give Lingard more playing time because he keeps doing it. What he does in practice, he did in the game. In practice, he breaks long runs, and in the game, he broke a long run. So I think you probably see a little more Lingard. And then I get to the offensive line, which I do think is inconsistent, and they just need to find a way to improve there. I don't know if it's going to be more personnel, if guys like Boulware and DJ Skate can keep pushing guys that are in front of them. They're already playing Boulware a lot at both guard spots, but to me, the weak link appears to be Jahair Jones at left guard, and that seems to be right now where they're putting Boulware in a little bit more with more frequency. And again, we'll see how that plays out against Toledo because to beat Toledo, they should beat Toledo, but the surefire way to beat Toledo is to manhandle them at the line of scrimmage. And a team like Miami should be able to do that. And if they can't, then it's going to be very disappointing. You
got a 10.5-point spread on that game.
Still?
Yeah,
Man.
10.5 points.
All right.
You got some question marks, too. Amon Richards. Is he going to be active for this game, do you think?
Well, yesterday when I was on the practice field, he was riding the bike. So I think he seems to be pretty content riding the bike on the sidelines.
What is going on with him, Joe? What is it with this guy?
Until I see differently, I can't answer that question.
Man.
But right now he seems to be pretty content for the last year and a half to ride the bike on the sidelines. And when he finally decides that his body is good enough to play, then we can talk about him a little bit more. But when he's out there, he can be one of the most dominating players in college football. But we really haven't seen that since early last year. And to me, I'm not saying that he's not hurt. Maybe he is hurt. He says he's hurt, but sometimes there's a difference between pain and injury.
Right.
And sometimes you just got to find a way to get yourself on the field, a la Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And right now, Ahmad seems to be very content riding the bicycle. So that means someone else is going to get a chance. And guys are taking advantage of that in practice. And Jeff Thomas has been spectacular in the first 2 games. So I say feed Jeff Thomas the ball.
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what Richards has to understand, too. He's not the only guy out there. There's a lot of talent on that wide receiver core. So, I mean, I would think your competitive spirit would want to make you get back out there and realize, hey, these guys are really good in front of me, so I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, well,
I'm with you, but I've seen a lot of guys recently decide to only play late in the season, and it's a 12-game season, 13-game season.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that he'll get back out there, but yesterday at practice, he was riding the bike, so I don't know. That must be kind of an enjoyable activity. I don't see that as a lot of fun.
Tour de France is over. I don't know what he's training for. How many questions do you get truly answered by playing Toledo? Joe, what do you think?
I think Toledo, here's the thing about playing Toledo, and Miami did this a couple years ago when they went to Appalachian State. And I do think you find out more about your team. And Miami should win this game. Obviously, they're the more athletic team and the better team. But recently, I think the teams in the MAC or the non-Power 5 teams, the way they try to balance the mid-majors, let's call them the mid-majors. To me, it's like playing a mid-major in the NCAA basketball tournament. And the way they try to balance it is they've got great continuity and consistency throughout their program. So they've been running the same RPO offense for a lot of years. They just pass it down from player to player, but mainly the players are in it for 5 years. So to boil it down, what they try to do is just out-execute you. And that's where, to me, where the game is. Can Miami get all of their great athletes and all of their size and bring it all together and play well collectively against a team that's going to be undermanned, but they're going to try to outsmart you and out-execute you and use their home field to an advantage. And the other thing is, the only thing they know is winning. They won 11 last year. They've won at least 6 of the last 7 years.
They're one of the better MAC teams, yeah.
Yeah, they're the MAC champion. They think they're going to win. They gave Miami a pretty good tussle last year, and a lot of it is their system. It's kind of like University of Miami played Loyola Chicago in basketball. They were the first victim in the tournament.
Yeah.
And, Loyola just stayed with their system all the way through the game. They just never left it.
Yep.
And eventually, down the stretch, they were the better executing team. Now, Miami cannot allow that to happen. They have to be the better executing team and then allow their talent to take over the game.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Joe Zagacki, voice of the Canes right here. 6:40, the Hurricane coming up on Saturday. You got game time right at 12 o'clock. Enjoy Toledo, okay, Joe?
Never been to Toledo.
It's lovely this time of year.
It must be just great, right?
Oh, man. Well,
all right, bud.
First, thanks, Joe.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming up here in a couple of minutes, Willie Taggart gives his thoughts on the turnover backpack? Is that what it is? Turnover backpack.
Can't make it up. No, you do not read that wrong.
Turnover backpack.
That's right. Can't make
what
it
does
up.
the coach, Willie Taggart, have to say about that? Get to that. And also, why is this Ryan Tannehill's Pro Bowl year? I'll tell you next.
You can tell his wife. Just don't tell those other guys. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
I was giving Willie Taggart a hard time yesterday.
Good.
Florida State coach, about this turnover backpack, and I'm like, come on, man. Why we copying off the Canes? Get your own thing. I mean, in getting your own thing is not getting your turnover backpack. You're stealing the gimmick, the concept of for a turnover, you got something special. And that backpack looked ridiculous. And you're right. You open yourself up to all these Dora the Explorer jokes and everything else. And here you are. You look like a big joke, and you look corny.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And here I am thinking, okay, maybe this is Willie Taggart's idea. No, he's put it on the players. He's saying it was their idea. They wanted to have their own little thing. Now, the question you got for Willie Taggart, do you let him? I don't know. You say, or do you be like, guys, hey, if it gets them going, if it helps, And, to his defense, now you are playing Samford. Maybe
Right.
the offense needs something, not the defense, because they did get 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and a fumble recovery.
That backpack is hot right now on the sideline, Kev.
Okay,
They
so,
want it.
all right. You know what? I'm like, as long as, and I say, maybe, look, here's what I say, guys. I think it's a dumb idea.
Yep.
I think you look like a bunch of cornballs.
Yep.
But if you maintain 3 turnovers a game and you remain in a positive turnover differential, you get to keep it. The second you don't, the concept's gone. I'm putting that thing in the garbage.
If I'm Willie Taggart, I'd take the backpack off their back and say, you guys are stupid, and I'm burning that thing.
You don't even give them a
Stop.
chance.
No,
but it's what
not
they
even give 'em a
want. I mean,
chance.
you want to play into it. I think it's dumb. And it was really dumb. And like I said, I want to correct myself because I thought Willie Taggart comes in there and he's like, look, guys, we got to turn over backpack. I'm like, come on, man.
It wasn't him.
Come on, Willie Taggart.
So, yes, you want to be fair to Willie Taggart.
Yeah,
It's the players.
I do want to be fair to him, but if I'm Willie Taggart, I still think it's dumb.
Yes.
I think people are trolling us, and rightfully so. And that's what I say. I'm like, all right, I'll go on the record. I want you guys to do whatever it does to maintain that turnover ratio. The second you don't, your dumb idea is gone.
So that's your deal.
That's my deal.
My deal is you guys are stupid. It looks stupid. I'm burning this backpack. Look, my son wants to eat cake for dinner all the time. Doesn't mean I'm going to let him. All right? You guys, sometimes you just got to say no.
Sometimes you do, and it's just one of those times. Or the players, I mean, he is. You're walking a line here. When you get whooped by Virginia Tech, and when you barely beat Samford, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe they're the Bulldogs. Is anyone gonna? You know what? Is anyone gonna get mad at me if I get Sanford's nickname wrong?
No,
'Cause
I
I'm pretty
almost,
sure it's
I
the
almost got their
Bulldogs.
first name wrong. I'm like, is it Sanford? Because they're Sanford, Florida. Is it Samford? Is it Sanford and Son? It's not Stanford. That I
No,
do know.
That we know.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess you let them have it for a little while. Now, things are kind of changing up, and for UCF, man, I do feel kind of bad for them. I hope they can reschedule this game because this would be the second year in a row that they've lost a chance to play a Power 5 opponent, and they need these. They do need these. Last night on Kevin's other show on Twitter, people were trolling Alabama because they scheduled, was it Tennessee Martin?
Yeah,
I don't know who Martin is. I guess he's a dude that lives in Tennessee.
must be.
But they've scheduled this game again, and I've been, railing on Alabama and the SEC, and again made the comment, I'm going to stand by it until somebody actually listens, but nobody will. All the conferences have to be uniform in the regulations when it comes to scheduling, and that regulation should be you must play 9 teams in conference if you're a Power 5 and no FCS opponents. Because it's a bunch of BS, and here they are already talking about it's going to be Alabama and Georgia because of the way they schedule their opponents in the SEC. They've now got a lock on how to get 2 teams into the Final Four, and it's crap, and it's got to stop. And
Alabama,
and it's not fair.
No, it isn't. I will agree with you on
It's
this.
crap.
Every time
it's
you
a
say
bunch of garbage.
But to be fair, we are wrong about Tennessee Martin. They play actually at Ole Miss on Saturday night.
No.
Well,
They
it was
just scheduled Tennessee
Oh, they
Martin.
just scheduled
Yeah,
Tennessee
they scheduled it for a
Martin.
future
Okay.
date. That's
Gotcha.
where it all started. Yeah, no, I'm
I
not saying
gotcha.
this week.
I
No, but
see.
they continue to
But they keep doing it.
aggressively pursue FCS schools.
I see.
To fill up their schedule and to also give them those buffer weeks between their challenging games so they don't go on a gauntlet where you got to play 3 challenging games in a row, which is happening in other conferences where you're getting dinged up, you're getting hurt, and then you've got that inexplicable loss
Right.
to a team because you're reeling of having to try to get ready for a massive game here, a massive game there. Yet, to their brilliance, because it's going unchecked. It's not happening. And that's why I'm saying, UCF was getting trolled so hard by Alabama people last night on the thread that I was on saying, stop saying you're the national champs, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, if Alabama keeps doing that FCS crap and UCF starts scheduling some Power 5s out of conference, respectable games, you got to say, okay, yeah, they may not be in a Power 5. But if we're looking ultimately at their schedule, if UCF could schedule 3 or 4 good Power 5 opponents out of conference and then run the table, then at that point you're saying, all right, why now are we being left out of this?
Right.
Our schedules are comparable. We may not be in the Power 5,
True.
but at least the other teams we're playing in our conference are still are still not FCS teams. They're FBS teams.
Yeah, and they may not be playing Georgia or Auburn or whoever it may be.
But they're
in
not
a
playing
SEC title
Tennessee
game.
Martin.
No, they're not.
FAU is going to be tougher than Tennessee Martin.
Yes. It's true.
South
And
Florida is going to be tougher than Tennessee Martin.
South Florida is actually a perfect example because they just played Georgia Tech on Saturday. They did the same thing, and they
Beat a Power
Georgia
Five.
Tech.
Yeah.
They did. And this was UCF's, and I feel bad for UCF because this was their opportunity again this year to play a Power 5 team.
I know.
And again, it's getting most likely altogether canceled. Right now, it's just postponed. But most likely, they will not play this game. It happened last year with Irma against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And they never got to play the game.
It's going to be tough, that game with North Carolina. So, yeah, what are they going to do? What's going to happen? I saw something that, maybe they could do some creative scheduling with their bye week, even though they don't line up perfectly, that maybe they can move one game here and another game there. And so if you're a UCF fan, you need these games. You need these wins if you're going to do this. And so maybe it might be good for Florida teams to start. Everybody does these neutral field games now, which is like, you look at Ohio State and TCU is the stupidest thing. They're playing this neutral field game
why?
that is like 19 or 20 miles from TCU's campus. So they got to play in the AT&T Stadium. I don't understand. This is really stupid. That's a whole other longer explanation I'm not going to take on this show. But, yeah, UCF needs that.
That could be the rest of the show, really.
Yeah, it could. I could rant on that for a while, and I choose not to. Ryan Tannehill, is this going to be his Pro Bowl year? Well, somebody's making some interesting comparisons I saw. And just because Tannehill is in year 6, as was Drew Brees and Alex Smith the first year they went to a Pro Bowl, doesn't mean Tannehill's going to go to a Pro Bowl. Hate to tell you that.
Why not?
But you are talking about quarterback maturity that happens. And is this where Ryan Tannehill turns a corner? Is it possible that you could start seeing a guy who comes alive? He seems to have good command of the offense, understand what he's doing. Seems like players respect Ryan Tannehill. And it's kind of interesting because players like Frank Gore, who have been around and have played with Alex Smith,
Right?
who in year 6 became a Pro Bowler, Frank Gore is making this comparison saying, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of similarities to where Alex Smith was in year 6 when he made the Pro Bowl. And even though, Alex Smith has turned into a journeyman quarterback that can't seem to land someplace very long, he has made some money and he has a pretty good winning record, 57-28-1 in his start since 2012. Which if you say Tannehill does that in the next 6 years, you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine
You'd take
with
that record, wouldn't you?
Look, Alex Smith has played in playoff games. He's been in playoff games with the Chiefs. Heck, he might help the Redskins get back to the playoffs this year. I've heard the Alex Smith comparison before to Tannehill, and at first I think it was a few years ago actually when I first heard that, and I kind of like cringed. I'm like, do we really want an Alex Smith comparison for a quarterback? But in reality, it's a pretty good comparison, and I don't think it's an insult. I mean,
it's not, because you're talking about a completion percentage of 65%.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're talking about since 2011, he's thrown 8 or fewer interceptions each season, which Tannehill started off not maintaining those odds with 2 picks in week 1.
Yeah, he was 2-2.
Those are not the numbers that you want. So right now, I think Frank Gore's projections are off on Tannehill. One of those was a questionable interception, but the other one with Gesicki in the end zone is just, no one can justify that one.
Well, according to Adam Gase, the ball slipped out of his hands because of the rain.
Slipped.
That's how he justified it, I guess, if you will.
Is that how that goes down?
That's what he did.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, if Frank Gore is right that Ryan Tannehill is Alex Smith, he's in year 6 when Alex Smith first went to a Pro Bowl, hey, you'd take it.
I am taking the gospel of Frank Gore at this point. I'm all in.
Yeah, it's encouraging stuff. We'll see what happens. Well, coming up here in a couple minutes, we got some other news about some new rookies going to be starting in the NFL. When is Carson Wentz going to be coming back to the Eagles? And Colin Kaepernick is causing fights in Port St. Lucie. I'll explain coming up next.
Be part of the show on Twitter at 640 The Hurricane, hashtag Kevin's Other Show.
Well, some drama emerging from week 1. Part of that drama is yesterday we were asking the question, at the end of this year, who's going to be in more hot water? Is it going to be Matt Patricia with the Lions, or are you talking John Gruden with the Raiders? And it seems like the spin already has started to favor John Gruden more and taking the attitude of rebuilding, 10-year project, in for the long haul, rebuilding the roster. So don't expect a whole lot right now. Matt Patricia, right away, I even was hearing some rumblings that he's already lost the team.
Come on, man.
And that started in OTAs. The Detroit Free Press does not like Matt Patricia, or
Jeez.
they don't have confidence in him. The headline there today reads, Matt Patricia is in over his head.
Wow.
And they're claiming that the Lions quit on him at halftime. And a lot of the guys are pretty much done for the season.
Wait, it wasn't even a full game that they quit. It was halftime?
They made it through one half before giving up on Matt Patricia. And right now,
Oh, my gosh.
mentally, the Lions are out of it. And a big
Wow.
part of it is Matt Patricia comes in and he's trying to do the same kind of stuff that Bill Belichick was doing. But Belichick is established. You tolerate Belichick's crap because he's got a track record, and he actually knows how to steer the X's and O's. Patricia comes in with the heavy hand and the extra running and everything that, players don't necessarily like, but you're obviously not seeing a team that was very well prepared the other night, maintaining the same signals apparently from last year that the Jets picked off like no problem. And yeah, the players in there, hey, these are pro guys, man. They're like, dude, we're done. This guy's a tool.
I mean, how do you turn that around in an NFL locker room? I get if it's college, you're dealing with younger guys, you can mold them a little bit more than you can, fully grown men who are making millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, if that is really true, if this isn't fake news up there in Lions territory, Detroit, then they're in trouble, man, because a half of football? If they're giving up on him after a half?
It's going to be a long season in Detroit, I think. Yeah.
An 0-16 year for Detroit, like it was, what was that, 5-6 years ago that happened, whatever it was?
Well, you're talking about a team that won 9 games last year with Caldwell, and that wasn't good enough?
I don't get it, man.
That's why I said that's hot water already for Matt Patricia.
And what I don't get either is you hired him because he is a Bill Belichick disciple.
But Bill Belichick's coaching tree is not very successful.
Yeah.
If you start breaking it down, all the guys that have left.
It's true. Romeo Crennel, Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss, he's doing great. He lives in Wellington right now and goes to watch his son coach FAU.
Eric Mangini.
Yeah. Where are these guys? Where are the successful coaches that have splintered off from Belichick?
Vrabel lost his first game.
Yeah, but Vrabel didn't coach.
He's a player.
Yeah, he was a player. So I don't know if you give.
Can we count that?
No.
No?
You don't count players. I don't think
right.
that doesn't count. Some of the other roster stuff in Oakland. Martavis Bryant is back for some reason. He was cut, then he's back. I don't know exactly what is going on there.
Makes no sense to me.
Le'Veon Bell is off the roster, and is it just best for the Steelers right now just to say, you know what, don't come back. Don't come back. It's almost like, maybe put Le'Veon Bell in a situation where you actually need us more than we need you. We've put James Conner right now as a starting back, and Le'Veon Bell was listed as the number 1 back, even though he hadn't signed, his tender. And you say, look, you got to come sign that thing before you want to come free agent. Players in the locker room are looking at Le'Veon Bell saying, you're playing for whatever team you're going to be on next year rather than the team you're on now. And so they've already kind of given up on Le'Veon Bell. So shouldn't the Steelers just basically say, nah, don't need you, man. We're going to move on because, look, it's not worth it. You're creating too much drama for us. We don't need drama.
I mean, I said it last week. When we said we asked the question is, have we seen Bell play his last game in Pittsburgh?
I think so.
I think so too. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I just don't see how you can possibly come back from this with a locker room that now sees you as a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, they do. They've turned against you because they feel like that you turned against them. How do you come back to that?
And Connor wasn't bad.
No, not at all.
You might say he's good enough. I think, honestly, you're not, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you're not ultimately concerned about the running back position. You're concerned about the quarterback position.
Yes.
What is going on with Roethlisberger? He's got a slight elbow injury now on top of everything else, but, man, he's pick happy. So, I mean, I'm more concerned about the quarterback than I am the running back position right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because Connor, listen, James Conner, I was more
Capable.
Very capable.
Solid guy. He's a guy that's got the kind of attitude, too. This is a guy that battled back from cancer, right, at Pitt?
That's right.
This is a guy that, is looked at death in his eyes, beat it. So he's like, hey, throw all the odds you want against me, man. I like that kind of determined attitude.
That's true.
He's in there saying, look, you're going to say, I'm sure it's in his head, saying no Steelers fan is going to ever say, I miss Le'Veon Bell. And I think that's what drives that kid. And you want somebody with that kind of chip on their shoulder driving them every single snap.
You know what Le'Veon Bell has to realize is that running backs, for the most part, are a dime a dozen, man.
Yeah.
They just are. There's a reason why you only last a few years.
He might get cold reality, man. We'll see where this whole thing goes.
Not to say that Bell stinks, because he doesn't.
No,
Obviously, he's one of the best backs in the league.
But know your worth.
There's a
Better
lot of
know your
guys.
worth, man.
Yes.
Josh Allen looks like he's going to be the second rookie quarterback. The Bills have already said, screw it.
That didn't take long.
Yeah, what do we got to lose? And they're pretty optimistic about Carson Wentz returning. I've heard, from some of these other people who've gone through the ACL, LCL injury he's had, it's a full pretty much year recovery, and November would be realistic. But apparently the Eagles are thinking week 3. Nick Foles is going to be going this week, facing off against a Buccaneer team that Fitzpatrick, where'd that come from?
All of a sudden, Fitzmagic is out there again.
Yeah, so that's what Foles has got to go up against. But they think Wentz will be back for the Colts game, is the prognostication on that. And Colin Kaepernick is causing drama in Port St. Lucie.
What happened?
Apparently on Friday, there was a conversation about his Nike commercial at a storage facility in the Pizzle, and two dudes got in a fight about it. One guy came over a desk. They had to call the cops. One guy actually got arrested because of it.
Goodness gracious. I've been waiting for that to happen one day during the show. Like one day you just climb over the desk and just start strangling me mid-show over something that we get into.
If it hasn't happened on KVJ, then it's not going to happen here. Don't worry, you're safe.
It's a good point.
Well, the thing that's funny is Kaepernick's got this jersey, the hashtag I'm with Cap, that has got his name and number on the back. And I don't know how many they've made available, but they say that they're selling out. $100 for kids, $175 for the adults.
Unbelievable.
With a portion of the proceeds going to benefit his Know Your Rights camp. So,
yeah, that was a funny move he pulled on Twitter when he announced it yesterday. He was, saying limited edition, go ahead and get it. I mean, this thing is sold out quick. And his original tweet, he said 20% of the proceeds was going to his foundation.
20%, okay.
And then after they sold out, they said all of the proceeds were going to the foundation. So, right move there. That was the right move.
Yeah, I think so too.
Switch that up.
Well, that's just it, because he doesn't want anyone to say, look, because already, they say he's making more money not playing than he would if he were.
He's profiting off of it, sure.
Yeah, and that becomes like, okay, when are you in it for legit reasons and when are you in it for the money? So I think for Kaepernick, he's got to really walk a fine line because, man, everybody is putting every move he makes under a magnifying glass, and then they're going to fight about it in a storage facility in Port St. Lucie.
That's what happens, man, that downhill effect right there.
Coming up here in a couple of minutes, some other stuff that people still fighting about. Serena Williams, that debate still continues. And Pat Riley. There's some big-time stars in Miami. What are they doing? And are we going to see some kind of free agency magic coming from Riles? I'll tell you about it next.
Get Kevin's other show whenever the hell you want on YouTube and at 640thehurricane.com.
Still storylines going on with the Serena Williams controversy from the penalty she received in the U.S. Open final.
The story will not go away, huh?
No, it will not go away. There just seems to be something that's going on, from racist cartoons to now stories about the umpires in tennis rallying together around Carlos Ramos to show their support and saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to work any Serena Williams matches. She doesn't want him working any of her matches. Well, we don't want to work any of hers. So good luck finding an umpire that's going to work a Serena Williams match because we don't need to get what Carlos got on the court.
Wow.
And they are saying that it's actually Serena's attitude. She's maybe a spoiled athlete. You sounded off on this. We told you if you ever got any comments on anything we talk about on the show, you can drop in a voicemail for us and join the conversation. It's a 561 number, 616-4622. That's 616-4622.
The game came out at her own hand, breaking her racket, doing a racket, whatever she did, and then, calling names to the chair umpire. That's ridiculous. That's all her. She's 36 years old. She got beat by someone half her age. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, she's a good player, strong. She's able to stay in the game longer. I mean, the average retirement age for women used to be like 28. I mean, she's she's staying in way too long, much like an old boxer. I don't know. She just needs to sit down. She's a brat.
Oh,
Okay, part of that I agree with. Part of it I disagree with.
yeah, they're coming strong there.
Yeah, I love it. Give us some good, strong takes. I don't think she needs to hang it up. I don't think this is an old boxer type situation with Serena Williams. You're in the U.S. Open final. Girl can still play.
Sure.
She still wants another Grand Slam win. She's got one more win before she ties. You would probably know, Diener.
Margaret Court.
There you go.
There
Thank you. But that's a number that's in her head. I mean, she keeps referencing what the guys were doing back in the 80s, smashing down the rackets and using that in her sexist argument. So she definitely obviously knows that she's one Grand Slam away, and she's determined enough to do it. I think she emotionally really got wrapped up into this. It's interesting she hasn't backed off of it yet and said, hey, look, I mean, I did, I don't know if she's being honest with herself, because I think all of her friends, and I've seen them, even Steph Curry is jumping up and, kind of defending her. Steph's taking an interesting approach in this. He's applauding Serena Williams in the fact that she displayed sportsmanship, he says, by asking the crowd to stop booing when Osaka was out there and Williams was giving a runner-up speech. That's the approach he's taking. He's not necessarily talking about how she handled herself on the court. And there are some other friends of Serena Williams, like was it Michelle Williams, I think it is, who's in Destiny's Child, who was there, with Venus in the stands and watching it, and it was very much on Serena's side about, yes, this is clear sexism, which I don't agree with. I don't agree there's anything else going into it. And I think that you said it there. I do agree with you on the part where there might be a point where it was a brat team move. It was kind of like being a brat, because emotionally you got a lot riding on it. You're getting beat by a 20-year-old. That probably is in your head because you just referenced age in that. She's 36. She's going up against a 20-year-old. She knows time is against her. And so every single match is important. Emotionally, I get why she's in it. I get why she was frustrated. She probably didn't see the coaching that was going on that obviously was going on.
Right.
And I think that Ramos probably was a little harsh on what he did on that first. It should have been just a light warning, I think, on that first call. She didn't see it. It's not a major deal. But Serena Williams would not let it go. He was not wrong in pointing it out, but she would not let it go. She was very emotional about it.
Oh, for sure.
And it spun way out of control. And I don't think she wants to go back and admit that, okay, you know what? I let it get to me. I let it get in my head, as it clearly did. And I started a feud with a tennis umpire that I couldn't win and that cost me. I don't know if she would have, without that infraction, I don't know if she would have won anyway.
No, I mean, look, Osaka was playing out of her mind. Now, you never know with Serena how she's able to come back. And then, listen, you're going against a 20-year-old who idolized you. So if she starts to come back, then who knows how, Osaka might respond. It might start to get in her head. Oh, my gosh, I'm now losing to my idol. She's going to beat me. Who knows what would have happened? Yeah. We don't know. All we know is that game penalty happened, which I believe, and I've been saying it the whole time, should not have happened. That third infraction should not have been called. Because you have to realize the situation that you're in. To me, that's one of the things the responsibilities of an umpire or referee, whatever position you're in.
I think there's a little bit of blame. But I think the thing is you can ascribe a certain percentage of blame to both in this argument. And unfortunately, again, it was Osaka that was the victim of both, and she's completely blameless in this. And I don't know if you want to put it at 70-30 or 60-40 or whatever, but I would put a lion's share of the blame on Serena Williams.
Oh, 100%. Because, look, Serena's the one who...
And probably 70-30. Probably 70-30.
Yeah, she went overboard. There's no question about that. So I know I'm kind of playing both sides here. Sure. But it's true, because you can say she went overboard.
Anything is... We want to make everything black or white, like somebody's completely blameless and somebody harbors all the blame. No, that's not true.
It doesn't have to be that way.
You had two people involved in this little fricas, and I think ultimately the majority of blame goes to Serena Williams for not letting it go. And a little bit belongs to Ramos, who I think used some bad judgment in the whole thing, too. I think emotionally he got involved, too.
Yes.
By the end.
He went overboard.
Okay. Do you read anything into this or something that's on our Twitter? There's a video that's going on where you've got Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. They're at American Airlines Arena. They're balling it up.
I like that.
Kelly Olynyk, Tyler Johnson, James Johnson, Bam, they're out there. They're kind of shooting around. Hassan Whiteside even part of all this stuff that's going on. Is there anything to look into it? Now, apparently this kind of stuff will happen. You know, you'll see, what was it the other day? It was like, wasn't LeBron, he was balling up with somebody. Who was it from the Celtics?
It was, it wasn't Kyrie, no.
No, it wasn't Kyrie. Yeah, he ain't going to be balling Kyrie. It was a younger dude. I can never remember names. But yeah, they were just like on a court, like balling it up together. But is there anything to say here? You think Pat Riley is smart enough, or is Pat Riley in there, and is he using this as an audition for the city and the franchise for any of these guys that could slide loose? I mean, Durant, is there any way he could make a play? Not this year, but are the Heat a year away from getting Kevin Durant?
I am never going to doubt Pat Riley, ever. He's done way too much and pulled off way too many amazing moves for me to say that this is not a calculated move by him to hold this workout at American Airlines Arena. Make no mistake about it.
Okay.
That man...
So you do want to read something into it?
Oh, for sure, because it's Pat Riley.
I didn't know it because I saw it
Yes.
and I got way too optimistic. All right, just chill, dude. This is probably a bunch of nothing. This just happens all the time. But you say, no, Heat fans pay attention to this. This could mean something.
Because it's the Heat, because it's Pat Riley, I say pay attention to this because of his history. He wants Kevin Durant. This man is a whale hunter. He's going after the whales. He wants Anthony Davis. He wants Durant. He would love to have Harden. I don't see that happening because of his current contract with Houston. But those are guys that he has his eye on.
Okay.
So make no mistake about it. It is not by accident. It is not an accident that these things are held at American Airlines Arena.
So this should get your attention. Okay.
Gets mine.
All right. The Heat open up training camp coming up on the 25th. We are 2 weeks away from that.
Incredible.
The preseason opener is on the 30th. That's a road game, though, in San Antonio. And then the regular season opener is just a little over a month away, starting off in Orlando.
Blows my mind. I feel like we were just talking about the playoffs.
I know we were, and it's back again. So I'm not complaining, though, man.
No.
It's all good. All right, you got anything to say? Again, the number is a 561 number, 616-4622 to jump on. You can jump on the Twitter, check out the podcast, or even on YouTube. Just search for Kevin's Other Show.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.